MAGA is the party of lawlessness. MAGA abhors the working class. They absolutely see the working class as something that they can suck off of and exploit and browbeat and say, you're not good enough. You're too lazy. You're not successful enough. You're not as rich as us. You lazy MFers. If you want better health insurance, get a better job. Not our problem. It is so immoral. The moral rot starts at the top. And of course, it trickles down to all these psychos surrounding Kanks. And so here we have a lie social that pops out yesterday. Pop this up. And I'm just going to read the highlighted part. For those that did nothing but complain and took time off, even though everyone knew they would be paid in full shortly into the future, I am not happy with you. You didn't step up to help the USA against the fake Democratic attack that was only meant to hurt our country. You will have a negative mark, at least in my mind, against your record. He's talking about air traffic controllers, okay? And air traffic controllers went into work for 40 days, and it was already a very strained system because Elon Musk and this dipshit that ran around in his panties before he was the leader of the transportation, Duffy. You've seen that video, right, of him running around in his panties. They cut air traffic controllers. What kind of society are we if we don't value public safety and human safety? What kind of society are we that when the Biden administration was in office, we said, oh, these airlines are really parasitic to their customers. They cancel people's flights and they won't give them a refund because they've overbooked or whatever. That's not fair to the consumer that works hard and then pulls their money out of savings to go on a vacation maybe once a year because Americans, work. Trump administration immediately reverses that and says, no, we'd rather favor the corporations. And then now Kanks is browbeating air traffic controllers. And the reason you haven't seen me in the last couple of days is because I fell prey to the air traffic control situation. I was stuck in Los Angeles and my flight was delayed 12 hours, then finally got canceled, didn't get it out till the next day. The whole time that I'm sitting there and my plane keeps getting pushed back. And they're telling us, we're short on air traffic controllers. And I had a lot of empathy because I imagine a lot of these people are younger, have families. And I remember being younger and living paycheck to paycheck and having kids and having to pay for childcare and having to pay for a mortgage and health insurance and how difficult it was. And if I wasn't paid for 40 days, I wouldn't be able to go to work either. I would have to do something other than that. But you have this guy, Kanks, who inherited $500 million, surrounded by a bunch of billionaires, and he has always been bailed out. He's never been held accountable. And he sits there and has the audacity to browbeat people that have a very stressful job. Air traffic control stress is very, very high, which is understaffed and has been zero funded the last 40 days. And he says, you're going to have a negative mark in my mind. The disdain that this man has for America and Americans is so evident because all he wants to do is hang out with rich people from other countries and show off his little projects at the White House. And he doesn't give a shit about you, MAGA. Not one shit.
Well, and also remember that despite a law that he signed in 2019 that said during a government shutdown, employees would get paid, Trump is acting like, well, we don't know if we will pay him. So for him to say, oh, yeah, you knew you would get paid, that's bullshit because he was acting like he wasn't going to follow the law, which is just his MO. And then I look at this and I think you have already stressed the air traffic control system to the max. You are a big, fat titty baby that has never worked a day in your life. And if you have, you've bankrupted the company or been found guilty of fraud, and you are going to browbeat air traffic controllers. And I'll tell you something else, Jennifer. You asked the question, what kind of society are we that doesn't value public safety? What kind of society are we that we don't value helping poor people, that we would rather food rot in sheds and antibiotics go bad than give them to the poorest people on earth. It is depraved. It is shitty. And this guy is the biggest fucktwat. And I'm just glad the mark in his head is scrambled eggs. So he'll forget this by tomorrow. He will go down in history as the biggest fucktwat I've ever seen.
Moving along, now he is targeting SNAP victims. And as Pumps and I have been saying here, what kind of society are we that doesn't value helping the poor? And we can shed some light into this because the place that we're from, Oklahoma, is deeply, deeply religious. It doesn't surprise me in the least that white evangelical Christians do not give a shit about the poor, because I would always hear my most religious friends criticize people on, quote, food stamps, AKA SNAP benefits, based on what food they were purchasing, which the studies show the food that you can purchase is the junkiest junk imaginable, because fruits, vegetables are more expensive, so they can't feed their family for that long. There has been a sustained attack for decades by Republicans and now MAGA, with an assist from white evangelical Christians, to demean the poor. And instead of doing what their Lord and Savior, the central character of their faith, Jesus Christ, instructs them to do, they instead dive into this form of Christian narcissism, where they're super focused on them and their personal relationship, and who else can we recruit? Who else can we fearmonger and emotionally blackmail to come give our grifting mega church pastor more money? And at the core of Donald Trump's support is these white evangelicals. And he got them because he had goods on them. He had goods on them via David Pecker from the National Enquirer. And he was able to consolidate these people. And then the non-critical thinking base was able to accept this whole thing, that he's an empty vessel. And now they celebrate browbeating the poor, which is so devastating. We've become so accustomed to it. It's become so normalized. But I think we all have to take a moment to really realize how devastating this is and how cruel this is, to browbeat people that work 40, 50, 60 hours a week from corporations that could pay them much, much more, who are donating money to this ballroom that now, I guess, these workers are not getting paid, much like the air traffic controllers aren't, because he thinks everybody that does anything for him is lucky. Right. Is lucky to be around him. All right, play the clip.
So they're used for the people who really need them?
It's meant for people. And you know what it does is it really puts the country at jeopardy. People that need it have to get it. I'm all for it. But people that are able-bodied can do a job. They leave their job because they figure they can pick this up. It's easier. That's not the purpose of it.
Okay. This whole argument about able-bodied, I've heard this my whole life, back to when I was a child, from the Ronald Reagan era. And what we have to fight for right now is all of these able-bodied people are working. The minimum wage has not been raised. They are unable to access health insurance. They are unable to get ahead. This whole system is set up via the Republican Party with an assist from their white evangelical churches to demonize and blame these people, when the true culprit are these corporations. And let me give you a couple of examples. The Walton family is so wealthy that when you split them all up, they still make the Forbes 400 list. When you split up all the heirs individually, they make it. So combined, it's one of the richest entities in the world. They pay their employees the lowest wages imaginable. And these employees don't work less than we do. No. They put in the time, a lot of it manual labor, their fingers and backs and hands getting beaten down. And then, because Walmart doesn't pay them enough, they have to go seek SNAP benefits and Medicare and or Medicaid. And we celebrate the Waltons as a country, but we don't celebrate all of the workers that the Walton family has exploited. And the same goes for Jeff Bezos. The same goes for Apple. The same goes on and on and on. You are not a billionaire unless you have exploited poor people. And the most insidious thing about this is how this decades-long Republican messaging has caught on like wildfire, and how quick people are to demean and degrade working class people and tell them that they're lazy and tell them that they're moochers, when the lazy moochers are right behind the Oval Office desk. He can't even keep his eyes open. That's how lazy this MFer is.
Well, and you look at Elon Musk just got $1 trillion contract, and the minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. Like, what are we talking about? And here's the thing, I just keep in my head, it's like a hamster wheel. Trump does not want to pay SNAP benefits. He is willing to go to the Supreme Court over and over asking, don't make me pay this money. He doesn't ever want to tell you how much tariff money he's gotten. And I'm like, in my head, since jump, I'm like, he's robbing people. He's going to rob the federal government. Where is the SNAP money? If the SNAP money is there, as it should be, as it has been appropriated by Congress, why won't he just pay it? And I can't help but thinking it goes back to the raiding of the Treasury that I have said since day one Trump is going to do, and his buddies. I mean, but Trump leading the charge.
I do think he wants to rob the piggy bank, but I also think it's really important to dig into the psychology of the reason they are keeping this money from these workers. And it's much more insidious than Trump just further enriching himself. That's just a Tuesday in America. It is that they've created a problem and they make people so desperate that when they solve it, then you feel like, oh, he finally gave me my SNAP money again. It is getting people to support him by making them suffer. It is a psychological weapon that he's doing this. It's deeper, darker, more dangerous, and more insidious than just Trump robbing somebody. He's been doing that his whole life. When I was trapped in Los Angeles, everybody in the waiting area was like, well, hopefully the government will open. Hopefully the government are open, because we're sitting there for 12 hours, in the airport. And I realized if you make people desperate enough, right, then you celebrate the resolution to that problem. So they're making this problem on purpose. It's dark and deep why he's not paying the money. The money's there. Could he steal it? Could he not? Doesn't matter. The United States will borrow. They'll pay it. That's not a fucking problem. It's because he wants to force them to like him. It's really, really twisted. And this is what a lot of autocrats and dictators do. They use this type of psychological torture on the masses to get them to think that they are delivering for them. Moving along, we have a lady here on CNN, and she is an establishment Democrat, and she's talking about how she's had it with Democratic leadership. And I think that her sentiment is something that has happened to so many Americans since the Trump's second victory. Play the clip.
Yes, Chuck Schumer should go. I'm sorry to say Chuck Schumer should go. I've voted for him many times. I am ideologically quite aligned with where he is as a senator, but he's no longer capable of running this caucus. He's no longer capable of leading the Democratic Party. I am a I'm an establishment Democrat, and I'm here to say that Bernie Sanders is much more in line with where I and many other Democrats are today than Chuck Schumer is. And, if you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I would have laughed at you. So that just to underscore exactly how furious Democrats are today for putting the country through this without having an out.
Okay. So I think she has a really good point here. And it's a point that we've made previously on this podcast. And it is that the Democratic establishment is goes into preservation mode. They want to preserve the status quo. And truly, if you are a progressive or a liberal or a Democrat, you should have politics and political thinking that is evolutionary by nature. And so that when we diagnose a problem, the affordability crisis, and we look at, Democratic collusion with these corporations was only good in the short term. And in the long term, it created wealth disparity to a level so much so that people voted for a demagogue to come in and rescue them. So we need to evolve and we need to pull back. Bernie Sanders' message aged well. Mm-hmm. He diagnosed this problem back in 2016, and the Democratic establishment knifed him. And his message still resonates. And the message of Hakeem Jeffries, of Cory Booker, of Chuckles has not aged well. And so it's not that establishment Democrats have left the base. It's that the base, these establishment Democrats that are in power, have given up on evolutionary politics, where when they see a problem, they diagnose it and they evolve with solutions. They've instead stayed static. And in doing so, they feel like this conservative old machine that just has come to a screeching halt. And so for the voter, when you hear people say it doesn't seem like there's much of a difference between the two, I used to not get that. Right. But I certainly understand that now. I certainly understand if you're a working class person and you have done everything you're supposed to do, and you can't get ahead ever, how it leaves you vulnerable to vote for anybody that says, even if they're lying or not, that they're going to try to do something different. And so this is the status quo politics in America is at its worst in the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party should progress and be more evolutionary. And I thought she nailed it, that the majority of Democrats right now, when they hear Bernie Sanders speak, agree. When they hear Jasmine Crockett speak, when they hear AOC speak, and you have these Chuckles and these others that are in complete denial, and there's an arrogance to it as well, to the Democratic establishment leadership that, we know better.
We know better, right?
When it's, no, you don't know better. You got your ass handed to you by a fucking moron, a moron that can't blend his makeup, that had to write on the hallway, the door of the White House, Presidential Hall of Fame, and then do another sign that says the Oval Office.
Right.
That's who fucking kicked your ass, because you will not listen to the people and you will not properly diagnose the problem.
I completely agree with that. And it seems to me that the biggest layup on the planet would be fighting back against Trump and Stephen Miller. Kristi Noem fucking killed her own puppy. Like, these are who these people are. But yet it's just, we know better than you. I think that's a great point, that they think they know better. And clearly they don't, because they get their asses handed to them every time I turn around. It's disgusting. I'm tired of strongly worded letters. I'm tired of bullshit. I want somebody that's fierce in their fighting.
Usually the first thing I take off when I get home from work is my bra, but not since I discovered Honey Love. You guys, this is the most comfortable undergarment and beyond product I've ever discovered.
I love Honey Love because it moves with my body, not against it. So there are no digging straps, underwire pokes, and constant adjusting. Just breathable support that feels like a second skin.
Honey Love recently launched their new Cloud Embrace bra, which sold out in days. It's a modern wireless t-shirt bra with sturdy, lightly padded foam cups that feel like a cloud against your skin. It's a wireless bra for people who love underwire. This style is bound to sell out again, so don't wait to try it. Listener, treat yourself or someone special to the most comfortable and innovative bras on earth this holiday season. Save 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/IHIP, our exclusive link to get 20% off. That's honeylove.com/IHIP. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Pumps and I sent you. Celebrate the season feeling confident and comfortable with Honey Love. Okay. And before we close here, we're going a little long this episode, but there's just something I want to point out. I have been whistleblowing about Marjorie Taylor Greene and her desire to position herself to absorb people that identify as capital R and have been indoctrinated that Democrats are demons and all this, commies and all this stuff. And she is a lot savvier than I thought. And she is latching on to this economic populist message that, for the record, Hakeem and Chuckles should be screaming from the rooftops with their endorsement of Zoran Mamdani, but they can't because they're beholden to AIPAC. But that's another episode entirely. So she also is trying to consolidate the cult support all at the same time. And I just want to show you a couple things here because we are on MTG watch. So here is Kanks on Marge in the Oval. Play the clip.
President earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have.
Okay, so what they're talking about is Kanks likes to hang out with international billionaires. He likes it. He wants to do deals for his sons, Dumb and Dumber. He wants them to be these international, Playboy conglomerates, blah, blah. And you can see all of that with the double dealing that he's doing with other countries and streamlining funds to the son-in-law, and then to Dumb and Dumber. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her messaging as somebody who grew up in a red state of just very simple messaging saying, we're not America first when we write a blank check to Benjamin Netanyahu and he kills babies and Christians. And we're not America first when we give $40 billion to Argentina. And she just says it just like that. That will hit so hard in flyover states, you guys. I cannot impress it upon you enough. It's simple. There's enough truth in it for it to be contagious. And so she's going to end up getting a lot of people that don't want to pay higher taxes, that have no problem, as they've proven with their triple Trump, they have no problem voting for a crazy person. And so I just want to remind everybody that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a grifting, conspiracy theory, anti-American, America last, pro-crime, QAnon whack job. Because just yesterday she tweeted the following. Thank you at POTUS for pardoning the 2020 alternate electors. They fought for election integrity and were punished harshly by a politically weaponized government. But please free Tina Peters. She is a Gold Star mom, wrongly convicted and serving time in prison. She is a political hostage in America. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is building a big tent, okay? And we need to be very clear-eyed about this. And the Democrats, the only one I've really heard go after her is AOC. And the Democrats need to start messaging against the heir appearance of MAGA. Mm-hmm. The curtains are closing on Kanks. Everybody sees it. The strong man is as frail as all get out. And you're seeing people jockeying for the point position. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is right there trying to scoop up all of his support. And this is just your friendly reminder. She is a fucking crazy person from top to bottom. All right. A great way to support our show is to buy our book, Life Modeled by Pumps. Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. The link is right below in the show notes. And please subscribe, like this video, and comment to help the algorithm. And we'll be back later with more news.